September 3rd, 1940, 11:47 p.m. The rocky shore of Dymchurch, Kent. The rubber dinghy scrapes against wet stones. Wolf Schmidt freezes. The sound echoes across the beach like a gunshot in the darkness. His hands, slick with channel spray, grip the raft's edge as waves push him toward England's coast. Above, searchlights sweep the cliffs in mechanical arcs. 23 miles behind him, occupied France fades into black. Ahead, enemy territory. Schmidt pulls himself from the water. His wool coat, heavy with seawater, drags at his shoulders. The Abwehr trained him for this. 6 months at the Hamburg facility, radio operation, codes, cover stories, how to blend into British society, how to gather intelligence on RAF installations, troop movements, factory production, how to survive. He never learned how to explain the transmitter in his suitcase. The briefcase weighs 15 pounds. Inside, disassembled components of a German S-110 radio transmitter wrap in oilcloth alongside coding materials, $200 in British currency, and a loaded Mauser pistol. Schmidt's orders are clear. Establish himself in London, report weekly on military installations, and await further instructions from Hamburg station. He takes 3 steps up the beach before the voice cuts through the night. Halt! Hands where I can see them. 5 soldiers emerge from the darkness. Their rifles point at Schmidt's chest. The nearest man, a corporal with a Kent accent, keeps his weapon steady. Behind him, 2 more soldiers flank left and right. Professional, practiced. They'd been waiting. Schmidt's mind races through his cover story. Danish refugee, fleeing Nazi occupation, desperate to reach London. But the words catch in his throat as the corporal steps closer, his eyes fixed on the briefcase. Open it! Schmidt's fingers shake as he unlatches the case. The soldiers don't need to see inside to know what they've found. The corporal signals with 2 fingers. A truck engine rumbles to life 50 yards up the beach road. Headlights blind Schmidt as the vehicle approaches. You're coming with us. The detention cell at Wandsworth Prison smells of damp concrete and old fear. Schmidt sits on a metal bench, still wearing his wet clothes. 3 hours since capture. No interrogation, no questions, just waiting. The silence presses against his eardrums, harder than any questioning could. At 3:17 a.m., footsteps echo down the corridor. 2 men enter. The first wears a military uniform, RAF insignia on his collar. The second, civilian clothes, a manila folder under his arm. They don't introduce themselves. Mr. Schmidt, the civilian says, his voice carrying an educated London accent. Or should we say, Hauptmann Schmidt of the Abwehr. We've been expecting you. The words hit like ice water. Expecting him. Schmidt's training never covered this scenario. The civilian opens the folder, spreads photographs across the small table. Images of Schmidt's training facility in Hamburg, his instructors, his fellow agents, documents in German bearing Abwehr seals. We know who you are. We know who sent you. We know your mission. The civilian leans forward. What you don't know is that every agent Berlin has sent to Britain in the past 3 months is now sitting in a cell just like this one. Schmidt's breath catches. Every agent. The operation compromised from the start. You have 2 choices, the RAF officer says. His tone carries no emotion. The first is straightforward. You refuse to cooperate. We try you as a spy. You hang at Pentonville within the month. Clean, simple, done. The civilian closes the folder. The second option is more interesting. You work for us. You send messages to Hamburg exactly as trained, but we write the content. Berlin thinks you're their man in London. In reality, you become ours. Schmidt stares at the photographs, faces of men he trained alongside. Hans, Karl, Friedrich, all captured, all facing the same choice. Through the cell window, dawn breaks over London. Somewhere in Germany, Abwehr controllers wait for his first transmission. Somewhere in this building, British intelligence officers prepare to write it for him. The game has already begun. Schmidt just doesn't know he's already lost. The interrogation, 800 words. Camp Joe 20. Latchmere House, Richmond, Surrey, September 5th, 1940. 9 a.m. The Victorian mansion looms behind high walls and barbed wire. Once a comfortable estate, now the most secretive interrogation facility in Britain. Schmidt's military escort delivers him through 3 security checkpoints before stopping at an unmarked door. Inside, Colonel Robin Tin Eye Stevens waits. Stevens doesn't wear his monocle for effect. The glass lens magnifies his right eye to unnerving proportions as he studies every prisoner. No one lies successfully under that gaze. His reputation precedes him. Former Indian Army officer, fluent in German, zero tolerance for Wehrmacht arrogance. Every captured agent who enters Camp 020 leaves broken, cooperative, or not at all. Schmidt enters a sparse interrogation room. White walls, single table, 2 chairs, 1 window covered with thick curtains. The temperature hovers near freezing. Deliberate, uncomfortable. Stevens sits already, a thin file open before him. Sit. Schmidt obeys. His wet clothes from 2 nights ago have been replaced with British prison garb. No sleep. Limited food. The psychological pressure mounts with each passing hour. Stevens speaks in perfect German. You parachuted near Willingham, Cambridgeshire on September 19th. Your transmitter frequency is 6,200 kilohertz. Your call sign is Artist 1. Your initial contact phrase is, "The concert is postponed." You were to report on RAF Duxford's fighter strength. He pauses. Shall I continue? Schmidt's face drains of colour. Stevens knows everything, not just capture details, operational specifics, things only Abwehr headquarters should know. How? Schmidt whispers. That's the wrong question. Stevens leans back. The right question is why. Why does the Abwehr continue sending agents to Britain when every single one fails within days? Why does Hamburg believe their spy network operates successfully when we've captured them all? The implications settle over Schmidt like physical weight. If Britain controls all German agents, then every intelligence report flowing back to Berlin is fabricated. Every strategic decision based on that intelligence serves British interests. The entire Abwehr network in Britain is a puppet show, and London holds all the strings. You're lying, Schmidt says, but the conviction falters. Stevens slides 3 photographs across the table. The first shows Karl Richter hanging from Wandsworth Gallows, December 1941. The second, Joseph Jacobs before a firing squad at the Tower of London. The third, Josta Caroli in a Camp 020 cell, eyes hollow, spirit broken. These men chose poorly, Stevens says. Richter refused to cooperate. Jacobs attempted escape. Caroli tried to sabotage our operations. He taps each photograph. Dead, dead, imprisoned for the duration. He produces a 4th photograph. Wolf Dietrich Christian Schmidt, Abwehr personnel file. You have 48 hours to decide which photograph represents your future, the condemned spy or the cooperative prisoner. An officer enters carrying a radio transmitter. Schmidt's transmitter, his hand-built device from Hamburg. They've assembled it on the interrogation table. Antenna extended, power supply connected. Your first scheduled transmission to Hamburg is tomorrow at 2100 hours. Stevens continues. You will send it. The question is whether you write the message or we do. If you write it, you hang. If we write it, you live. Schmidt stares at the radio. His link to Germany, his mission, his life's purpose for 6 months of training, all reduced to this choice. What do you want me to send? His voice barely audible. The truth, or rather, the truth as we need Berlin to believe it. Stevens stands. You arrived safely, established yourself in temporary lodging, made initial observations of military movements, nothing suspicious, nothing that would alert Hamburg to your compromise. They'll know. The Abwehr has protocols, security questions, methods to verify authenticity. We've studied your codes, your security checks, your personal phrases. Stevens' monocle catches the overhead light. We know everything, Mr. Schmidt. The question isn't whether we can replicate your communications. The question is whether you help us willingly or whether we proceed without you. The room falls silent. Outside, Footsteps echo down corridors. Other prisoners, other agents facing identical choices. The machinery of British intelligence operates with ruthless efficiency. "If I agree," Schmidt finally says, "what happens to me? You become Agent Tate. You send messages as we dictate. You help us understand Abwehr operations. You live comfortably under guard for the war's duration. When Germany falls, you go home." Stevens closes the file. "Or you refuse, and we have your transmission sent by an operator mimicking your technique. Either way, Hamburg believes you're operational. Only your choice determines whether you survive to see war's end." Through the window, grey English sky stretches endlessly. In Hamburg, Abwehr controllers check their watches, preparing to receive Artist One's first report. They have no idea their agent sits in enemy hands, about to make a choice that will change the war's trajectory. Schmidt nods once. The transformation begins. The choice, 750 words. Camp, Iro 20, September 6, 1940, 8:47 p.m. Agent Tate, no longer Schmidt, sits before his radio transmitter. His fingers hover over the Morse key. Beside him, Major Thomas Tar Robertson of MI5's B1A section watches every movement. 2 military guards stand at the door. A stenographer records each date and DAR. The room feels smaller than it did yesterday. Robertson represents Section B1A, the small counterintelligence unit that will become the operational heart of what they're calling the 20 Committee. The name comes from the Roman numerals XX, double cross, a fitting description for what they're about to accomplish. "Your transmission window opens in 13 minutes, Robertson says. His Scottish accent carries authority without aggression. "Hamburg expects your first report. Tell me again what you'll send." Tate repeats the message from memory. "Arrived safely. Temporary accommodation secured in Watford. Observed increased rail traffic moving north from London. Will establish permanent position and continue surveillance." He pauses. Standard operational language. Nothing suspicious. "And your security check?" The third letter of every fifth word must be advanced 2 positions in the alphabet. "That confirms I'm transmitting freely, not under duress." Robertson nods. "Except you'll include the check correctly. You want Hamburg confident. You want them dependent on your reports." He lights a cigarette, offers one to Tate. The German accepts. Small gestures of normalcy in an utterly abnormal situation. "Why are you doing this?" Tate asks suddenly. "You could execute me. Send my transmissions with your own operator. Why keep me alive?" Robertson exhales smoke slowly. "Because authenticity matters. Your fist, your sending rhythm, is unique. Hamburg trained with you. They know how you transmit. A British operator could learn your technique, but tiny variations accumulate over time. Suspicion grows. Eventually, they'd realize the deception." He leans forward. "But you? You're perfect. You send exactly as trained. Your fist matches Abwehr records. Your language patterns, your German idioms, your reporting style, all genuine. Berlin won't suspect because nothing is suspicious. So I'm a tool." "You're a weapon," Robertson corrects. "The most powerful intelligence weapon Britain has ever possessed. German High Command will make decisions based on your reports. Troop deployments, resource allocation, strategic planning. You'll shape their thinking without them knowing it." The clock reads 8:58 p.m. 2 minutes to transmission window. Tate stubs out his cigarette. His hands no longer shake. The initial terror of capture has crystallized into something else. Not quite acceptance, not quite resignation. Perhaps simply the recognition that survival requires cooperation. "After the war," he says quietly, "what happens to me? That depends on you. Cooperate fully. Provide accurate intelligence about Abwehr operations. Help us understand German methods. You'll go home. Return to your life." Robertson's voice softens slightly. "Resist, attempt sabotage, warn Berlin through coded signals. You'll hang before month's end." 9 p.m. The transmission window opens. Tate places his fingers on the Morse key. The familiar weight feels different now. Every transmission he made in Hamburg training carried purpose, mission, duty to the Reich. This transmission serves a different master. He begins sending dit-da-dit, dit-da-da, dit-da-dit. The message flows in practiced rhythm, 47 seconds of transmission. Robertson's pen scratches across paper, recording each letter as it translates from Morse. The stenographer types simultaneously, creating redundant records. Message complete. Tate releases the key. Silence fills the room. "Well done," Robertson says. "Hamburg will receive that in minutes. They'll decode it within the hour. By tomorrow morning, your report will be on someone's desk in Berlin, marked as verified intelligence from a trusted source." He closes his notebook. "You've just taken your first step into something larger than you can imagine. Every week, you'll send reports. Every week, Berlin will believe them. Month by month, year by year, we'll feed them exactly what we want them to know." Robertson walks to the door, pauses. "Welcome to the double-cross system, Agent Tate. You're going to help us win this war." The guards escort Tate back to his cell. Behind him, the radio transmitter sits silent, waiting for next week's scheduled contact. In Hamburg, Abwehr operators decode his message, filing it alongside reports from other British-based agents. None of them suspect the truth. Every single agent is compromised. Every report is fabricated. The entire German intelligence network in Britain exists solely to serve British interests. The game has begun. Birth of Double Cross, 800 words. 58 St. James's Street, London. MI5 headquarters. September 12, 1940, 10 CM. The conference room fills with smoke and tension. 15 men gather around a long oak table. Military intelligence, MI5 counterintelligence, MI6 foreign operations, naval intelligence, representatives from every branch of Britain's security apparatus. At the head of the table, John Cecil Mastercan, chairman of what they're now calling the 20 Committee, calls the meeting to order. "Gentlemen, we have a situation both unprecedented and extraordinary," Masterman begins. His Oxford professor demeanor masks the revolutionary nature of what he's about to propose. "In the past 6 months, we've captured or identified every German agent operating in Britain. Not most, not many, every single one." He gestures to Major Robertson, who stands beside a large board covered with photographs and connecting lines. Each photograph shows a captured German agent. Each line represents their Abwehr connections, training facilities, and operational handlers. "Agent Snow," Robertson begins, tapping the first photograph. "Arthur Owens, Welsh, recruited by Abwehr in 1936. We've controlled him since 1939. Agent Tate, Wolf Schmidt, captured September 3rd, currently cooperative. Agent Zigzag, Eddie Chapman, awaiting capture based on signals intelligence. Agent Garbo, we'll discuss him separately. He's unique." The board shows 17 faces, 17 captured agents, 17 channels of communication directly to German intelligence headquarters, 17 opportunities. "The question before this committee," Masterman continues, "is how we exploit this situation. Do we simply keep these men imprisoned, preventing them from operating, or do we transform them into offensive weapons?" Captain Guy Liddell from MI5 Section B speaks. "The risk is substantial. If Germany suspects even one agent is compromised, they'll doubt all of them. The entire network collapses. We lose our window into Abwehr thinking." "True," Robertson acknowledges. "But consider the alternative. We have direct communication channels to German High Command. We can feed them whatever intelligence serves our purposes, exaggerate our military strength, misdirect their bombing campaigns. When invasion planning begins, we can mislead them about landing sites, troop dispositions, defensive preparations." Flight Lieutenant Charles Cholmondeley from RAF Intelligence leans forward. "You're proposing we run every German agent in Britain as a double agent, simultaneously, for the entire war's duration." "Precisely." The room erupts in objections. Too complex, too risky, impossible to coordinate. What if agents communicate with each other? What if Germany sends verification teams? What if wireless detection identifies transmitters operating from British locations? Masterman raises his hand for silence. Every objection is valid. Every risk is real. But consider our current position. Germany believes their spy network functions successfully. They're already making decisions based on reports we've provided. Luftwaffe bombing raids targeted locations we suggested through controlled agents. Their intelligence picture of Britain comes almost entirely from sources we control. He walks to a map of Britain on the wall, marked with pins representing reported military installations, factories, and defensive positions. Some pins are accurate. Most are not. We're already running a deception operation, Masterman says. The question isn't whether we do this. The question is whether we systematize it, create protocols, establish oversight, turn individual agent handlers into a coordinated intelligence warfare machine. Major Robertson adds, we need three things. First, absolute control over agent communications, every message reviewed, every transmission monitored, every report verified before sending. Second, a central authority to coordinate deception narratives across all agents. Their stories must align. If Agent Tate reports a military installation at one location and Agent Snow reports the same installation elsewhere, Berlin spots the contradiction. Third, we need long-term strategic planning. This isn't about tactical deception. This is about shaping German strategic thinking for years. J.C. Masterman nods, which is why we're forming the 20 Committee. This body will meet weekly. We'll review every agent's communications, approve every message sent to Germany, coordinate deception narratives, and most importantly, maintain absolute secrecy. This operation cannot leak. He surveys the room. Gentlemen, we're proposing to run the greatest deception operation in warfare history. Every German agent in Britain becomes our agent. Every intelligence report becomes our propaganda. Every Abwehr success becomes our success. A naval intelligence officer raises his hand. What do we call this? The operation needs a code name. Masterman smiles slightly. We're already calling it Double Cross, the 20 Committee. XX in Roman numerals. Double agents, double crosses, doubling back on German intelligence. The name rather suggests itself. The committee votes, unanimous approval. The double cross system is officially born. Next meeting Thursday, Masterman concludes. We'll review Agent Tate's second transmission and discuss how to introduce fictional agents, entirely imaginary spies that exist only in German files. If we're going to deceive Berlin, we might as well be thorough about it. The men file out, carrying folders marked Most Secret. Behind them, the board of captured agents remains, a network of deception waiting to be fully activated. The war just changed. Germany doesn't know it yet. Building the network, 750 words, Hendon, North London. Safe House, Baker Street, November 1940, 3:15 p.m. Eddie Chapman sits across from Tar Robertson, grinning like a man who's just won the lottery. In a sense, he has. 3 hours ago, he was facing life imprisonment for safe-cracking. Now he's being offered a chance to become a British spy posing as a German spy. The irony isn't lost on him. Let me understand this correctly, Chapman says, lighting a cigarette. You want me to convince the Germans I'm a British criminal willing to betray my country. Then I let them train me as a spy. Then I return to Britain and work for you while pretending to work for them. That's the essence of it, yes. Chapman laughs. Brilliant. Absolutely mad, but brilliant. This is the evolution of double cross. No longer just turning captured agents. No, they're actively recruiting British nationals to infiltrate German intelligence, become trained agents, then return as doubles. Agent Zigzag, as Chapman will be codenamed, represents the next phase of deception. Across London, in a different safe house, another operation unfolds with far greater complexity. Juan Pujol Garcia, a Spanish national, sits in a small apartment writing fictional intelligence reports about Britain, despite never having set foot in the country. He's convinced the Abwehr he's operating in London. In reality, he's in Lisbon, crafting entirely imaginary observations based on guidebooks, magazines, and newspaper clippings. He's extraordinary, Robertson tells Masterman during their Thursday committee meeting. Garcia has created 3 fictional sub-agents. The Germans believe he's running an actual network in Britain. They're paying him for reports about military movements, industrial production, and civilian morale, all completely invented. Masterman studies Garcia's file. And they believe him? Absolutely. His reports contain just enough accurate information mixed with plausible fiction that the Abwehr considers him their most valuable British asset. They've codenamed him Arabelle. What do we call him? We're thinking Garbo, after Greta Garbo. He's the greatest actor in the intelligence world. The 20 committee reviews Agent Garbo's potential. If they can bring him to Britain, legitimize his fictional network, and integrate his operation into Double Cross, they'll control Germany's most trusted intelligence source. The possibilities are staggering. By December 1940, the network expands systematically. Agent Tate continues sending weekly reports about RAF installations and troop movements. His information is accurate enough to maintain credibility, but dated enough to be operationally useless. Hamburg considers him reliable. Agent Snow reports on Welsh military facilities and Irish neutrality. His position as a long-term agent gives him special credibility with Abwehr controllers. Agent Summer transmits naval intelligence from Portsmouth. Most of his reports describe ships that departed weeks earlier or haven't arrived yet. Agent Mutt and Jeff, 2 captured agents whose names they never learned, operate as a team, reporting on Scotland's defences. Their overlapping reports reinforce each other, creating the illusion of verified intelligence. Each Thursday at 2:30 p.m., the 20 committee meets. Each agent's proposed messages are reviewed word by word. Consistency across the network is paramount. If Agent Tate reports clear weather in London while Agent Snow reports storms, Berlin might notice the discrepancy. If multiple agents report the same military unit in different locations simultaneously, suspicion grows. Robertson develops a filing system of extraordinary complexity. Every transmitted message is logged. Every fictional fact is recorded. Every invented military unit, fabricated installation, and imaginary operation is documented. The lies must be consistent. The deception must be perfect. We're not just controlling these agents, Masterman explains to a new committee member. We're constructing an alternate reality. A Britain that exists only in German intelligence files. Our fictional Britain must be believable, detailed, and consistent across all sources. That requires meticulous record-keeping. By March 1941, 25 agents operate under double-cross control. Some are captured Germans, some are British volunteers, some are fictional constructs existing only on paper. Together, they create a comprehensive intelligence picture that serves British strategic interests while maintaining complete credibility with German handlers. The system works because the Germans don't suspect. Why would they? Their agents report regularly. Their intelligence appears consistent. Their sources seem independent. Nothing suggests the entire network is compromised. In Berlin, Abwehr analysts compile reports from British-based agents, comparing observations, cross-referencing data, building comprehensive assessments of British military capability. Every assessment is wrong. Every conclusion serves Allied interests. The double-cross system has become operational. Now comes the test. Can it survive long-term scrutiny? Can it withstand German counterintelligence efforts? Can it maintain the deception not just for months, but for years? The answer will determine the war's outcome. The game deepens. 800 words. Abwehr Headquarters, Berlin. Tirpitzufer, 76. April 15, 1942. 9 a.m. Major Nikolaus Ritter studies the intelligence summary from British operations. 7 pages of single-spaced text describing military installations, production capabilities, coastal defences, and civilian morale. Reports from 17 sources, all allegedly operating independently across England, Scotland, and Wales. The picture they paint is simultaneously encouraging and concerning. British military strength appears substantial but not overwhelming. Coastal defences are strong in certain sectors, weak in others. RAF fighter production continues but at manageable levels. American military aid arrives regularly, but not in quantities that fundamentally shift the balance. Industrial morale shows signs of weakness. London remains vulnerable to sustained bombing campaigns. Ritter doesn't suspect these reports are fabricated. Why would he? Agent 3725, Tate, has transmitted reliably for 18 months. His information proves accurate when cross-referenced with aerial reconnaissance. Agent 3719, Snow, provides detailed Welsh intelligence that aligns with known geography. Agent Arabelle Garbo runs the most extensive network, his sub-agents reporting from multiple locations with consistent detail. What Ritter doesn't know is that every accurate detail is deliberately included. Every verified fact is carefully chosen to seem legitimate while hiding larger deceptions. The 20 Committee has perfected the art of the credible lie. Back in London, the committee faces an escalating challenge. Germany has increased requests for specific intelligence, V-weapon development locations, 8th Air Force airfield locations, landing craft concentrations. The Abwehr wants tactical intelligence that could genuinely harm Allied operations. We need to feed them something substantial, Robertson argues during a committee meeting. If we only provide vague reports, they'll lose faith in our agents. We need to give them real intelligence occasionally, information that appears valuable but serves our interests. Masterman nods. Chicken feed. Information that's accurate but outdated, or accurate but irrelevant, or accurate but misleading when interpreted without full context. They develop a formula. For every 9 pieces of misleading intelligence, provide 1 accurate item. The accurate information must be time-sensitive and expired. Report troop movements 3 days after they occurred. True but obvious. Confirm installations Germany already knows about through reconnaissance. Accurate but incomplete. Describe military preparations while omitting crucial deployment timelines, verifiable but harmless. Give correct details about non-operational factors like weather or civilian conditions. Agent Garbo becomes the master of this technique. His March 1942 report describes American troop arrivals in Liverpool with extraordinary accuracy. Ship names, unit designations, equipment manifests. The Germans are impressed. What they don't realize is that the troops departed Liverpool 2 days before Garbo's report arrived in Madrid. The intelligence is genuine, but operationally worthless. The strategy works because human psychology favors confirmation. German intelligence analysts want to believe their spy network succeeds. Each accurate detail reinforces that belief. The accurate details become proof of the network's legitimacy, making the false information easier to accept. By summer 1942, the deception reaches new sophistication. The 20 Committee begins coordinating narratives across the entire agent network to support specific strategic objectives. Objective: protect Malta convoys. Method: multiple agents report increased Royal Navy strength in Gibraltar, suggesting convoy routes shifting north. Result: German U-boat deployments concentrate in wrong areas. Objective: mislead about North African troop strength. Method: agents report divisions remaining in Britain that actually deployed to Egypt. Result: German intelligence underestimates British forces at El Alamein. Objective: conceal invasion planning for Sicily. Method: agents emphasize troop concentrations in southeast England, suggesting cross-channel operations. Result: German defensive priorities focus on France rather than Mediterranean. Each deception requires weeks of planning. Every agent's reports must align. Timing must be precise. Details must be consistent. One contradiction could unravel months of work. Agent Tate sends a message in June 1942. Observed increased military traffic through Reading Station. Troops appearing Mediterranean-equipped. Possible redeployment from home defence to overseas operations. Agent Garbo's sub-agent in Liverpool reports, docks show reduced activity, ships returning to Atlantic convoy routes, fewer military transports visible. The messages seem to contradict, troop movements versus reduced port activity. But German analysts interpret it as troops departing by air from interior bases, while sea transport focuses on supply convoys. The conclusion serves Allied interests. British military capacity remains focused on home defence and Atlantic operations, not Mediterranean invasions. In Berlin, Ritter compiles these reports into a strategic assessment. British military remains defensive-minded, invasion capability limited, no immediate threat to occupied Europe. Mediterranean operations unlikely before late 1943. The assessment is completely wrong. Operation Husky, the Sicily invasion, will launch in 13 months. But German defences won't prepare adequately because their intelligence says it's not coming. The double-cross system has evolved from simple counterintelligence into strategic deception warfare. The agents don't just provide false information, they shape German thinking, influence strategic decisions, and alter the war's trajectory. And Berlin still doesn't suspect. Operation Fortitude, 800 words, Norfolk House, London. Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force, January 10, 1944, 11:30 a.m. General Dwight Eisenhower stares at a map of northwestern France. Normandy, 5 beaches designated Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword, June 5, 1944. D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in human history. Success requires absolute surprise. Failure means catastrophe. The Germans know we're coming, Eisenhower says to the assembled intelligence officers. They've known invasion is inevitable since 1942. What they don't know is where and when. That's what keeps them dispersed across 3,000 miles of Atlantic coastline. Colonel Noel Wild, controller of Ops B deception operations, steps forward, which is where the double-cross agents become critical. For D-Day to succeed, Germany must believe the invasion is coming somewhere else, specifically the Pas de Calais. The logic is sound. Pas de Calais is the obvious invasion point, shortest channel crossing, direct route to Germany, excellent port facilities. German High Command expects invasion there. The Allies need to reinforce that expectation. Operation Fortitude is born. The most elaborate deception operation ever attempted. Its goal: convince Germany that Normandy is a feint and Pas de Calais is the real target. The double-cross agents will sell this lie. The 20 Committee mobilizes every asset. Agent Garbo, Germany's most trusted source, becomes the centerpiece. His fictional network has expanded to 27 sub-agents across Britain. German intelligence believes he commands the most comprehensive spy network in England. His credibility is unmatched. Garbo will report on the 1st United States Army Group, Robertson explains. FUSAG, commanded by General Patton, massed in Kent and Sussex, preparing to invade Pas de Calais. The problem: FUSAG doesn't exist. It's entirely fictional. Rubber tanks, inflatable aircraft, empty camps with simulated radio traffic. The Allies have created a phantom army of 40 divisions. German reconnaissance flights photograph it daily. Signals intelligence intercepts its communications. Everything appears legitimate. Agent Garbo's reports describe FUSAG in meticulous detail: unit designations, officer names, equipment numbers, deployment schedules. His sub-agent in Dover reports landing craft concentrations. His source in Portsmouth describes embarkation drills. His contact in Kent observes Patton himself, inspecting troops. Every detail is fabricated. Every observation is false. But Garbo's credibility makes it believable. April 1944, 2 months before invasion. The deception intensifies. Other agents support Garbo's narrative. Agent Brutus, a Polish officer working for Britain, reports on Fusag from inside perspective. His position as a liaison officer gives him apparent access to invasion planning. His reports confirm Garbo's intelligence. Agent Tate observes military movements in East Anglia, suggesting concentration toward Dover Strait. His long operational history makes him credible. Agent Treasure, a French double agent, provides snippets of overheard conversations about Pas-de-Calais being the primary objective. The cumulative effect creates a comprehensive intelligence picture. Multiple independent sources reporting consistent information. German analysts see no contradictions. The pattern seems clear. Invasion targets Pas-de-Calais, likely in late July or August. May 28, 1944, 8 days before D-Day. Camp 020. The double-cross team faces a critical decision. They need to preserve agent credibility while maintaining deception. If agents fail to warn about Normandy before invasion, Berlin might suspect them afterward. But warning too early or too clearly could compromise operational security. The solution is brilliant in its simplicity. Let agents report Normandy preparations, but characterize them as secondary operations. Diversionary attacks, feints designed to draw German forces away from the real invasion at Pas-de-Calais. Garbo sends a message June 1st. Sub-agent reports increased activity in Southampton area. Possible preparations for diversionary operation. Main force concentration remains in Kent. Patton's army not yet committed. The message is perfect. It acknowledges Normandy preparations, maintaining credibility, while reinforcing the Pas-de-Calais deception, serving strategic interests. Berlin receives it, files it alongside reports confirming Fusag remains the primary threat. June 6, 1944, 6:30 a.m. Normandy landings commence. German coastal defenders fight desperately, but strategic reserves don't move. Hitler and his generals debate. Is this the real invasion or the diversion? Where is Patton's army? When will the main attack at Pas-de-Calais begin? The debate paralyzes German response. Panzer divisions remain in reserve, waiting for the real invasion that never comes. By the time High Command realizes Normandy is the only invasion, Allied forces have secured their beachhead. June 9th, 1944. 3 a.m. Agent Garbo sends his most critical message of the war. A long, detailed transmission explaining that his sub-agents have confirmed Normandy as merely a diversion. Fusag prepares for the main assault at Pas-de-Calais. Patton's forces will strike within days. Germany must not weaken Pas-de-Calais defenses to reinforce Normandy. The message is a masterpiece of deception. Garbo expresses urgent concern that German command is making a terrible mistake. His tone conveys authenticity. His details suggest inside knowledge. His warning appears to serve German interests while actually serving Allied objectives. Berlin believes him. Panzer divisions remain at Pas-de-Calais. Hitler refuses to commit reserves to Normandy. The Allies consolidate their position without facing Germany's full defensive capability. Operation Fortitude succeeds completely. The double-cross system has won D-Day before a single shot is fired. Section 8. The finest hour, 750 words. Abwehr Headquarters, Berlin, June 15th, 1944, 2:15 p.m. Major Ritter reads Arabelle's Garbo's June 9th message for the third time. The urgency bleeds through the text. His most reliable agent warns that Germany is falling into a trap. Normandy is the diversion. Pas-de-Calais remains the objective. Allied deception succeeded. German command is defending the wrong location. The assessment reaches Hitler's desk within hours. The Führer, already suspicious of his general's judgment, finds Arabelle's analysis compelling. Panzer Lehr Division, 116th Panzer Division, 1st SS Panzer Division, all remain north of the Seine, waiting to counter the real invasion that Arabelle promises is coming. They wait for 6 weeks. Fusag never attacks because Fusag never existed. By July 25th, when German command finally commits reserves to Normandy, Allied forces have landed nearly 1 million men and established an unbreakable lodgment. The window for decisive counterattack has closed. The deception's success is absolute. The 20 Committee meets July 27, 1944. The mood is simultaneously triumphant and exhausted. They've run the double-cross system for 4 years. They've maintained dozens of fictional agents. They've coordinated thousands of deceptive messages. They've shaped German strategic thinking to the point where Berlin's intelligence apparatus serves Allied interests more effectively than British propaganda. "We need to address the endgame," Masterman says. "Germany is losing. Retreat is inevitable. At some point, they'll overrun our fictional installations. They'll capture areas where our agents supposedly operate. They'll realize the deception." Robertson shakes his head. "Not necessarily. We've been careful. Agent Garbo's sub-agents operate in areas we'll liberate first. When Germany retreats, those agents simply go silent, captured by advancing allies, communications cut, operationally logical. And the agents transmitting from Britain? We phase them out gradually. Equipment failures, security concerns forcing silence, natural operational degradation. By the time Germany falls, most agents will have gone dark for legitimate-sounding reasons. The strategy works better than anticipated. As Allied forces push through France, German intelligence loses contact with supposed agents in liberated territories. Agent Garbo reports his sub-agent in Southampton was arrested by British counterintelligence. Agent Treasure stops transmitting after claiming her radio was damaged. Agent Brutus goes silent, explaining he's under increased security scrutiny. The network contracts organically. Berlin accepts these losses as normal wartime attrition. Their faith in the remaining agents, especially Garbo, remains unshaken. August 1944. Agent Garbo's credibility reaches its peak in the most bizarre way possible. German intelligence awards him the Iron Cross, in absentia, for exceptional service to the Reich. The award recognizes his invaluable intelligence and dedication to German victory. The 20 Committee receives this news with amazement. Britain's most successful double agent has been decorated by the enemy he's deceiving. The irony is exquisite. "Should we tell him?" one officer asks. "We already did," Robertson says. "Garcia laughed for 10 minutes straight, said he'd frame it next to his British medal when the war ends. And Garbo will receive a British medal. The Member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, making him perhaps the only person in history to receive high honours from both sides of the same war. As autumn approaches, the double-cross system shifts from strategic deception to tactical support. Agents still in contact with Berlin feed information about Allied supply lines, troop concentrations, and strategic planning. All false, all designed to mislead German defensive preparations. Agent Tate reports phantom American divisions massing for a Rhine crossing at Cologne. German defenses concentrate there. The actual crossing occurs 70 miles south. The remaining agents serve their purpose until Germany's final collapse makes continued deception impossible. One by one, they go silent. Equipment failures, security compromises, communication blackouts. Each disappearance is carefully crafted to seem natural. By April 1945, only Agent Garbo remains in contact. His final transmission comes April 26th, reporting increased Allied security measures and difficulty maintaining communications. He signs off with regret, promising to resume contact when possible. He never transmits again. Berlin assumes he was captured or killed in the war's final chaos. The truth, that he's in London receiving congratulations from MI5, never occurs to them. May 8, 1945. Victory in Europe Day. the double-cross system officially ends. 4 years, 8 months, and 5 days of continuous deception operations. Not a single agent was detected by German counterintelligence. Not one compromise occurred. The entire German intelligence network in Britain operated exclusively to serve British interests from September 1940 to May 1945. Intelligence warfare's greatest victory is complete, and Germany never knew they'd lost. The Reckoning, 750 words. British Cabinet War Rooms, London, June 1945, 3 p.m. The 20 Committee holds its final meeting. Around the table sit the men who orchestrated the greatest intelligence deception in military history. 4 years of weekly meetings, thousands of fabricated messages, dozens of fictional agents, hundreds of strategic deceptions, all successful. Masterman reviews the final statistics. Total German agents captured or identified, 115. Successfully turned as double agents, 39. Fictional agents created, 26. Total deceptive messages transmitted, 11,000, plus German counterintelligence discoveries, 0. Strategic military operations influenced every major Allied operation from 1941-1945. The numbers tell only part of the story. The double-cross system didn't just prevent German espionage in Britain. It transformed the entire Abwehr intelligence apparatus into an Allied asset. Every strategic decision Berlin made based on British intelligence was actually decided in London first. Did they never suspect? A junior officer asks. In 4 years, not once. Robertson lights his pipe. Oh, they suspected various individual agents at various times. Investigate someone long enough, you'll find something suspicious. But they never suspected the entire network. That was our genius. We never ran a perfect operation. We made small mistakes deliberately, had agents go silent occasionally, created friction between them, made the network feel real by making it imperfect. Masterman adds, and we fed them enough accurate information to maintain credibility. The chicken feed strategy worked because we understood human psychology. People believe what they want to believe. Germany wanted successful agents in Britain, so they believed the agents were successful. The post-war assessment reveals the deception's full impact. Operation Torch, North Africa 1942, German forces positioned based on double-cross intelligence indicating landings in southern France. Actual landings in Algeria caught them completely unprepared. Sicily invasion 1943, Operation Mincemeat, the famous corpse with false documents, was reinforced by double-cross agents confirming the deception. Germany diverted forces to Greece and Sardinia. Italian campaign, 1943-1944. Continuous deception about Allied strength and objectives kept German reserves dispersed across multiple defensive positions. D-Day, 1944. The Fortitude deception kept 20 divisions at Pas-de-Calais for 6 weeks after Normandy landings. The delay was strategically decisive. Post-war interrogations of German intelligence officers reveal extraordinary facts. Colonel Hansen, senior Abwehr official, admits they considered their British spy network the most successful intelligence operation of the war. They trusted Arabelle Garbo more than any other source. They based strategic assessments primarily on reports from British-based agents who were all controlled by British intelligence. The revelation devastates captured German officers. Their entire intelligence picture of Britain was fabricated. Every conclusion was wrong. Every strategic decision was compromised. They'd fought the war effectively blind while believing they had perfect vision. Some refused to believe it. Impossible, one former Abwehr analyst insists. We verified reports through multiple sources. We cross-referenced intelligence. We caught inconsistencies. You caught inconsistencies we planted deliberately, Robertson explains, to make you trust the consistencies. You verified reports through multiple sources we controlled simultaneously. You thought you were seeing the truth from different angles. You were actually seeing the same lie told different ways. The psychological impact on German intelligence officers is profound. They dedicated years to analyzing British intelligence, believing they were protecting Germany. In reality, they'd been Germany's greatest liability. Juan Pujol Garcia, Agent Garbo, meets his German handlers in a Madrid cafe in 1946. They still don't know he worked for Britain. He maintains the fiction that he barely escaped Allied capture at war's end. They buy him drinks, thank him for his service, and express regret that Germany's defeat prevented properly recognizing his contributions. Garcia almost tells them, almost reveals that he destroyed their intelligence capability single-handedly. But he holds back. Some deceptions are better maintained permanently. The double-cross files are sealed immediately. Classified most secret, they won't be released for 30 years. The participants are forbidden from discussing their work. History books credit Allied victory to industrial production, military strategy, and Soviet sacrifice. The intelligence deception that fundamentally shaped the war's outcome remains unknown. Only in 1972, when Masterman's book, The Double-Cross System, is finally published, does the truth emerge. By then, most participants are dead. The German officers who were deceived are elderly or deceased. The revelation creates historical sensation but little practical impact. The double-cross system's ultimate legacy isn't just that it succeeded, it's that it succeeded so completely that the enemy never knew they'd been defeated in the intelligence war. Germany spent the entire war believing they had eyes in Britain. They had nothing but mirrors reflecting British deception back at them. The spies they trusted were their own worst enemies. The intelligence they cherished was their downfall. London won the spy war. Berlin never knew they'd lost it.